Okay. This is going to be one of those, it could be a conspiracy theorist's, dream come true of wanting to come up with an idea of what's going on. I'm not going to say that. Okay. So let's start with at least two caveats here. Number one, not all Democrats are evil people, just like not all millennials are living in the basement at 30. Okay. And not all Republicans are evil people. Okay. There are a lot of them out there. Okay. There are. Um, there's also a lot of corruption in both the Democrat and the Republican Party. Now, I went through and did a whole video telling my whole sordid past life history of 7 generations of being a veteran fighting against the racist slavery of Democrats. So I have my preference. They suck big, and I like the idea of people having, their freedoms. And that's what we do. And we hate slavery and we hate racism. And if you're concentrating on race and saying race every 2 seconds, then you're the racist, not the other people, because nobody else is looking at it. Just you. Um, okay, so that's the first caveat. And it falls in line with, like I said before, with Tommy Lee Jones. Um, a person is smart, people are stupid. And it just so happens that for Democrats, they love to huddle in a big, huge clump of people. So most of the time, yeah, they're stupid. Sorry, it's just my opinion. You clump together, your people, you're stupid. Republicans, they have the respect to say, hey, you go get your acre, I'll have my acre. We can leave each other alone for the most part so that we only have, we can have our differences and everything. We're not going to clash. And I can come over for picnics and we can have fun and all kinds of stuff. We can enjoy this country. I like that. Okay. I like that idea. Now, um, the other caveat is I am not going to say there is any proof of a conspiracy. There is no proof that there is a conglomerate of people huddled in a little room saying, we're going to do this, and that they've been doing it for over a millennia planning their takeover. Okay? Not going to say that. Okay? But I will say that when this is what they have demonstrated as what they want for as long as this country's been around, for 250 years, this is what they want. Okay? And why wouldn't they take advantage of a perfect storm? And there is a perfect storm happening right now. We are right at the beginning of it, and I'm just going to point it out. If you want to see my whole video on why I hate the Democrats and go through Democrat history of what my family's done to fight against the slavery, fight against the racism, fight against all that stuff, you can do that. There's some good points in there about their standard mode of operation, and I'm going to try not to repeat too much of it here. So I do have to kind of give you a past example in order to show you how the future now looks. Okay, and the past example is pre-Civil War. Okay, pre-Civil War, when the Democrats had the states down south, they were doing all of the stuff there. They were called separatists during the Civil War, and the reason they were being separatists is because they don't like America. They still don't. They hate America. They hate the Constitution. They do not like it. They don't like it at all. Okay, I'm not kidding. This is basic Democrat Party, the big guys. They hate it. They don't like it. Okay, it's rules for you, not for me. That's their thing. Okay, but they hate everything about America. They hate the flag. They hate the economy. They hate everything. They want Democrats in their hole. They want socialism, communism, either or. One is the big difference between the two is one is achieved through a huge revolution, which is something that the Democrats constantly talk about. It's time for a revolution. Yeah, that's what they want. They want their socialism. They want their slavery. Slavery is the foundation of how they run their socialism. Okay, it's their main piece for doing it. They wanted their own banks. They wanted their own money, their own currency. They wanted their own dollars and their own type of pound or rubies or whatever the hell they wanted. They were doing that. That's what they were doing. There was a lot more than just the slavery. And the slavery, it was a very big focal point because it was what supported their socialism and their socialist agenda of tyrannical control. Okay? I want you to think back on the idea of what it would be like from a logistical and economic standpoint for a Democrat. We know it all leads to immoral things and it just crashes down on everybody's head. They ignore it, so let's ignore it because we're trying to get into their shoes to understand how they like things. So, you have slaves. Well, if you were a slave, yes, all the atrociousness, you were beaten and you worked. You had a job. You were trained to do a job. You were trained for that job. You were. You were given a home. It was a crappy home. Have you ever been to Portland? Have you ever been to New York? I have. 300 square foot apartment. Looks like a couple of jail cells knocked together. That's it. And they're trash. Yeah. Okay. Not much better. We have cell phones today. That's the housing status for these people. So you have housing. They don't want you dying because they need you working. So you have a basic level of medical that they would make sure that, something happens, they at least bandage up your leg and say, get back out there and work. You don't get any of the fruits of your labor. That goes to your slave master. Okay, but you have food, you have housing, you have basic essentials, okay, for super basic essentials for survival. And that is taken for you. You are not responsible for going out and getting food. You are not responsible for having this house. They're going to give that to you and say, here, stay here overnight. Now get your ass out on the field. You're not responsible for that. They're going to do that for you. And they love the idea of not having to be responsible. They don't want to be responsible for their kids. That's why, you go to California, it's the teachers. They tell them you have to wear the school uniform in a public school because mommy and daddy don't want to take the time to say, you're not allowed to wear a miniskirt. You have to wear this. Oh, it's not my fault that you have to wear a uniform. The school says it. No, you just don't want to be parents. The school will teach you about sex, not me. They're supposed to teach you that. No, that's the parents' job. They don't want to be parents, okay? They don't. Hillary Clinton's book, the government is the primary indoctrinating educator of children. Parents come second. Right there in Hillary's book. Can't get any more clear than that. All right? So as a slave, you're taken care of. Now, what about the white people? The white people, most of them were poor. The black people were doing all of the menial labor and stuff, so you had to be, pretty real good at some specific thing that they weren't willing to educate the slaves on, okay? So you had to really know how to do some stuff, not just like ironwork or anything like that. You had to be something really big, okay? And you had to be one of those people who was trying to be one of the elites who owned slaves, okay? Now, the slave master, the elites, these are guys who were making tons and tons of money from having all the slaves, okay? And yes, they were paying a lot of taxes. They had social programs that they were creating for all of those low-income, poor white people. You don't have a middle class. No middle class. Poor white people who barely work, and they get social programs to take care of them, to make sure they're good. And why do they love their congressmen? Because they get lots of free stuff, so they keep them in office. They keep them in office. And the rich people, they're not only willing to pay the taxes, because in a large corporation, taxes, it's an operating cost. That's all it is. It's like, okay, I got to buy a whole bunch of steel in order to make these rims for wheels. Oh yeah, taxes. That's an operating cost. It's all it is. And sure, they're going to want to reduce their operating costs. So if they send a little money to the right people, they may get their taxes a little lower than other people, and they'll fight for that stuff, But for the most part, it's just an operating cost to them. You're paying $5 million in taxes or whatever, but you're making $50 million. Yeah, it's not a big deal. Okay, it really isn't. Um, Especially when you think, I've got enough money and I'm going to make that much more money next year. Sure. Okay. So they had their rich thing. Now the congressmen love getting bribes. They love getting their little lobbyist legal bribes. Um, and so they get to live the limelight of being a congressman. They get to live the super wonderful world. You have the slavers. You have the white people who look down and say, well, at least I'm not a slave and I get free crap, I'm better than them. I'm better than them. At least I'm doing this. That's their voting power. Their voting power comes from that. And you don't need as many slaves as you need voting power. Um, so they're trying to separate from the United States. They're trying to create their own currency, their own banks. They're trying to keep their slavery and their socialism alive, and they're trying to enact it there. But America's like, no, we base things on merit, and that means the merit of your work is the merit of your profit, and the merit of your character is the merit of who you are, not the color of your skin. They don't like that. They hate that. Okay. Um, and they work on this whole principle of popularity. It's always what's popular, and I go into that a lot in my last video. Super popular to do this and that and the other. So if it's popular, they're going to be on board with it because that gets all the people happy with them. And it's kind of just like Bud Light. They're like, dude, we need to sell more beer, and if it means pandering a little to these people, we'll do it. It's just a money thing. Walmart, oh, we're going to get rid of plastic bags. It's not for the environment. It's because those plastic bags cost $1 bazillion on them every month, and they're cutting costs. That's all it is. It's not actually because they're trying to be green. Everything that they do is destroying the earth worse by doing what they do for all these eco things. They're not actually improving anything. So that's the structure that you had before the Civil War. Now, we destroyed socialism. We destroyed all that by killing out their slavery. They can't do that, so you can't have it. And you don't need, one slave. If you had one slave in your house, a dedicated housekeeper and a dedicated worker, they go out to the thing, they do all the fields to grow the food and keep track of the horses and the cows and all the rest of that. Then they come in, they clean the house, everything. If you had a dedicated slave, okay, you could live it easy peasy, okay? Just for one person, house of 4, 6 people, maybe 2 if you get a lot more people, but still, it's less slaves than the white people. So the white people, those represented the voting bloc. So now let's jump to today, okay? We have this entire thing where there was a recent piece that came out, and again, this is just perfect storm type thinking, okay? The analysts are coming out and talking about the CBDC, which is basically the dollar is dying. It's dying. All of the banks, we have almost 200 banks in America, and they are dying. We're going to be down to about, they're estimating, we're going to be down to 6 banks. And not only that, but we're going to have this thing that they just enacted, Biden pushed it, FedNow. Okay, and the FedNow means the government can track every single transaction that you make, and that includes every product line on your receipt. All of that is part of what the federal government is going to have access to. If you shop at Walmart and you also shop on Walmart online, I've done that. I bought a steamy thing and I go there to shop or whatever, but then you go back to your online account and they finally started showing you what they've been tracking all along. Because remember, you could go into the store, Target, Walmart, go into the store, say, yeah, I use this credit card. Oh, I found your receipt. Not a problem. Well, if that's in a database, are there different ways to search it and show it? Go to your Walmart.com account. It shows I bought some new steamy mop thing, okay, on the online store. But it also shows that I went to the store yesterday and bought Crystal Light and milk and cheese and tortillas and all kinds of stuff, and it lists every single one and even shows a picture of every single one that I bought, everything that was on my receipt. Now imagine, the federal government has that, and they can control what you buy. They know what you're up to, what you're doing. They can really streamline and target and figure out what these people are. They can spy on you like crazy. Now, that's the worry with CBDC, and they're all talking about that. The other thing they're talking about is that we are in a population decline, and this goes into the NAFTA type thing where we had trade all over the world and everything. The way a population grows is it needs to grow like a triangle, okay? Think of Social Security, okay? You have all new young people down here, and the very oldest 115-year-old dude is way up here at the top, and you're going to need all these kids going into the workforce so that they're paying their Social Security at the rate to keep just the oldest people paid Social Security. A whole bunch of people die off, car accidents, illnesses, anything. They all, old age, doesn't matter. Population gets super narrow as you get older. But you got to have that really far base. The triangle is the strongest architectural design piece there is. I mean, look at the pyramids. They built it all out of stone. When you hand your kid a bunch of blocks and say, build something, they build a pyramid. Why? Because it's the strongest damn thing there is. Okay, you've got to have that base foundation, and that supports the top. Okay, so our population doesn't look like this anymore. Okay, you have this, but then you have this very quick narrowing. We're having less and less bursts, less and less everything. So now you don't have enough people to support Social Security. You don't have enough people in the workforce. Not only that, but you've had two generations, the generation of millennial and the generation of thing. And not all millennials are bad, but you have enough of them that they are known for not working and living in mommy's basement. Okay? The next generation, what are they known for? They're known for having their basket weaving degrees in gender studies. Okay? They're not working. I know people, they get themselves a degree in psychology. Guess what? That's a throwaway degree. Unless you're going all the way up to doctor, it doesn't mean jack. Okay? My daughter went for criminal justice, and when she was real close to getting the degree, they said, oh, by the way, you can have psychology too. She's like, okay, how did I get that? And they're like, well, it's just a bunch of stuff, and then you get it. Everybody gets it. It's nothing degree. It's basket weaving, okay? Gender studies, it's basket weaving. Do you really think every corporation out there has somebody in HR and their sole job is to know the difference between a Z and a Zem? No. No. Okay? They're not going to waste their money on it. So you have this population decline. So now these people are all getting all the social programs. These people are relying on all of the money coming from, the stimulus checks and the food stamps and the HUD and the TANF and all those different things. They're getting this. So where's your slavery workforce coming from? Well, why don't we just open up all the borders and we can bring in all of the desperate people willing to work to come in. And we'll bring them in and we'll say, okay, you're not a full citizen. You can kind of vote. You got to love us. We're taking you in. Love us and vote for us. But your vote isn't going to really count as much. But yeah, your vote's going to count. And we're just going to assume it's for us. And, so you have your slavery class. It's going to be all the illegal immigrants that come in to do this. And they're going to have to put them to work because you can't afford to just take care of everybody. And you have the cronies, the ones that follow the popular. We're the popular. We're the popular. Part of the whole conspiracy theory, if you would, that evolves around who's behind the trans movement and the rest of this is it's designed to break down all of the things and it's being pushed. You'll find a lot of the Antifa people in there, a lot of the other people there being pushed, the whole George Soros things. He's trying to bring in socialism. He's openly admitted that. That's nothing new. But what they're talking about is they're talking about things like with Mark Zuckerberg and Meta, where they're trying to do virtual reality. And if you've ever seen those silly movies like Gamer and Ready Player One, people spending most of their lives distracted from real life because real life sucks. So they're in this virtual world. Okay, so think of it as almost like a modified version of the Matrix. Okay, The Matrix people, the people who want to be in the Matrix, they're like, God, life sucks. I want to just sit in the Matrix where it's nice and pretty and I can eat a steak and think it's a steak, but it's actually a bunch of, you know, hash, whatever crap. But my brain thinks it is because they're sending all the signals in, you know, and they're not storing these people like they do in the Matrix because it was run by robots. We've got to watch out for AI. They're all warning us about AI. And so you're not a battery to provide electricity. You're not generating power like they did in the movie The Matrix for the machines to have electricity. You represent their voting power. Okay, that's their power battery. Okay, so again, I'm not going to say this is a conspiracy. I'm not going to say that there's a whole bunch of people in a room, but I will tell you that the evil people, the nefarious people out there, the ones like Antifa who want chaos, who want socialism, who want Marxism, who want all those crazy things that always lead to atrocities, if that's what they want to sit back and not have any responsibility and just do their thing. There was one show that did the whole virtual reality thing where people were wearing a mask and they thought they were doing something fun in virtual reality, but they were really sweeping a floor. You know, it doesn't matter how you imagine or picture it or what they're trying to push or come up with now. I'm not saying it's a conspiracy theory, but if you were one of those people, wouldn't you take advantage of what appears to be a very perfect storm? I don't know. Think about it. Oh, dogs are going nuts. Got to get out of here. See you next time.